playoff edition. What's up, guys? This is fantasy. It's the hub of fantasy football with your host Uriah, co-host Foley.
Yeah. Greetings from the number 1 seed.
I almost took your spot on the introductions, though.
Co-host Evan, what's up?
Hello. I'm not number 1, very bottom, but I'm there. I made it.
Man, so look, guys, today's sponsor is no sponsor. Are you tired of listening to your favorite fantasy football show and unimaginable amounts of ads going on, and you're just steady hitting go, 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 go? Well, welcome to this podcast who has no sponsors, and, you know, but we will take them if you give them. But right now, we are free of that, and welcome to our show. So, guys, this week, playoffs, what's going on?
I would just like to point out that all 3 of us are in the playoffs.
It didn't look like it was going to be that way for a while.
It worked out.
It got tight.
The lesson is, if you didn't make the playoffs, maybe you should listen to us more.
Absolutely. To the analyst.
That's right.
I don't know if anybody should listen to me at all. Things have gone poorly for me.
You did it did go down quick.
Yeah, it just fell apart in the last 3 weeks here, but whatever.
But I think that was a lot of people in our league. They were up for a while, and it just dropped quick.
Yeah. That's how the game goes, I reckon.
League mismanagement, I would say, with your team.
100%. I mean,
no quarterback in your last game to make it. Ugh.
Not that it would have made a difference.
You're right.
It might.
So let's start off with...
Yeah, so I got 2 things. First of all, real quick, I just want to acknowledge Chapel Bill.
Is that the one that sings "Hot to Go"?
The greatest coach in the history of the NFL is now going to be a college coach of my favorite college team, the North Carolina Tar Heels. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but it had to be acknowledged.
Did they actually have
It just happened.
It did happen.
They
are officially doing it. Is the thing with his son? Is that
I don't know if that
real?
part's real.
Okay.
I kind of don't. Part of me can see it being real, but I don't actually think it's real.
I also just can't track your football fandoms at all. They don't make any sense to me.
My mother went to Chapel
They are
Hill.
all over the place.
Yeah,
Right,
Was it-
sorry, my mother went to a different
Was it
UNC
Detroit,
campus,
New
but
England?
It's all family ties, though.
I get it.
My mother is a UNC grad, so I love UNC. I don't know what animal we have outside my window right now.
Cat looking at me. I love it.
Oh, there's a cat. Okay. But, I mean, look, I love Bill Belichick to death. I love UNC, but as much as I like any college team anyways, I'm not a huge fan.
I just see the reverse effect of the Nick Saban project with Miami. I just see that happening.
I think there's a good chance.
It's not
The
gonna
only
go
thing
well.
that gives me any hope at all is that this dude you've heard about the Bible he built,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
This dude has been putting together a plan for years of what he would do if he took over a college program.
I think it's today's kids.
Yeah,
Not
I
gonna
tend to
work.
agree with you.
Not gonna
And
work.
the thing that's really sad about this, though, is this is a give up on him ever getting the all-time win record. I mean, he's planning to be there at least 5 years because that's how long it takes to establish yourself in a college program.
Well, I will say, if he can somehow get those kids to buy in, it could be really good. But
it's just a tough ask.
I mean, like I've said before, in college you kind of gotta swap to what you have to build it. And I don't know if Bill is like we talked about Andy Reid and those other guys, but it may work out.
All that to say, I will be watching more college football next year.
Oh, right. Building with what you have, by the way, speaking of that, just to keep it on college for no reason, Mississippi State, I think, is just done for
they got
forever. So many people. The only people that did anything for us
The
this
QB,
year.
he gone.
QB's gone.
gone.
Mario Craver, one of our wide receivers, who's
gone.
excellent. He gone. Kevin Coleman, the blow up, came out of nowhere. Excellent wide receiver this year. He just said today he's gone. I just don't understand. Until they start to regulate this transfer portal thing, until they start to cap NILs or something like that, I don't understand how schools like Mississippi State, USM even, I don't know how they're ever going to compete on like a grand scale at all.
They're not.
Yeah, and that sucks. It makes me sad.
All right, so you got something else.
I
What you
do.
got?
I apologize for derailing this immediately with college talk.
he
Let's
did.
get to the actual important
Once
stuff
again,
here.
Evan with the bad Foley.
Bad.
Fully
Fully
bad.
Fully bad.
But something actually more relevant to this podcast. I went through all the teams who did not make the playoffs this year. I wanted to give you guys some love and acknowledgement. Maybe love is putting it strongly, because what I put together is your LVP of the season, your least valuable
Stinger.
player. These are the guys who really kind of helped derail your chances of making the playoffs. Starting with the most obvious one, which is Allen.
Christian?
Absolutely, it's Christian McCaffrey. For the most part, I'm trying to avoid going with injury players because that's not totally fair. But with Christian McCaffrey, we knew he was dealing with an injury at the time you took him at 101. And boy, things did not get better from there, did it? Sorry, Alan. Yeah, I tried to take him off your hands. They wouldn't let me.
You're welcome.
Todd took Tajay Spears in the 6th round.
Really?
I thought I had Ty Spears, but 6th round, you
Sixth
said?
round, he took him one pick before Aaron Jones.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's a bummer.
That backfired.
it sure did.
I mean, to be fair, getting in my Wayback Machine here, I do remember a lot of preseason chatter about
Sure.
Ty Spears taking that job by week 3.
I do
And he
remember
looked
that.
good
Yep.
last year, so there's some logic to it.
Yep.
But right before Aaron Jones is real
One
tough.
pick before Aaron
that
Jones.
is
It would,
tough.
it would probably be better if he took off that goofy padding around his helmet.
Oh, stop it. We like the Guardian caps.
We do not like to be a man. Let's go. Lose that
Be
mind.
a man. Get brain damage.
Be a man.
James.
Or you end up like Mark goes
Oh, man.
to
And you hurt him.
The
You
one
hurt him
time
bad.
I'm on Brett Favre's side.
oh, it is sad. There's two CTE victims.
Yes.
Argue. Anyway, go ahead.
The
I'm
man
sorry.
does belong in the Hall, though. Let's be really clear about that. He belongs in the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
James, it would have been so easy to pick one of your injured players. You know, you had Isaiah Pacheco, you had Nico Collins, but like I said, I wanted to not go after the injured players. Christian Watson in the 10th round. 2 picks later went Lad McConkey. Watson has been a big old bust. I know 10th is getting pretty late, but even still, that hurt you taking him. If a different pick, you might have been in the playoffs.
If I recall correctly, his first few picks were not good at all.
I don't think that's right, because I mean Pacheco was a good pick. And,
I can't remember who he took, but I remember
Nico
being,
was early on, and they were good picks. They just got hurt.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
Bijan in the first round
That was
has
a
been
good
good.
pick, yeah.
Now he waited on quarterback, which is the
it
other,
worked though. We talked
It
about
mostly
that.
worked. We did talk about
Yeah.
that. Although Kirk Cousins has fallen apart in the last couple of weeks and was a candidate for this list for that reason. But I think it goes to Christian Watson. Stone, this is a guy who has had to deal with injuries, this player that I'm about to mention, but that's not the only reason he's on this list, because when he has been healthy, boy, he was not good. Chris Olave.
I'm
had
going to
such-
agree with you here, but I don't put a whole lot of it onto him himself.
No.
Because that was not a good situation. And
Well, his
he had
coach-
3 concussions this year.
But
It's
still.
tough.
His coach was trying to get him killed.
Yeah,
Yes,
his
his
coach and his
quarterbacks.
quarterback both wanted him to die.
You took Chris Olave in the 3rd round.
man.
In the 4th round went Drake London and Malik Neighbors. So, yeah, sorry, Chris. AI Matt, this was the hardest one because
Blame it on Foley.
this was one that I did not pick, so maybe that's why I chose him for LVP. This one really was hard because you can look at it and say that wasn't like every single pick you can look at and say that wasn't terrible. I mean Marvin Harrison Jr. Okay, not great, but he wasn't like he wasn't a total bust or anything. But I went with Aaron Rodgers in the 6th round.
But he would have picked him anyway, though.
Probably.
Yeah, and that's why we gave him to him, because we knew we liked him. But Aaron Rodgers in the 6th round. Here are the quarterbacks who went in the 7th round. You ready for this?
Bo Nix.
Jared Goff, Caleb Williams, Justin Herbert, Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith.
Baker
All
hurts.
went in the next round.
Baker hurts the most of those.
For sure.
Geno was okay a little bit, but he's also been fair to middling.
Herbert
and
was
Caleb
good.
is only just now getting anywhere that you could start regularly.
They've all been better than Rodgers.
Yeah. Most people have.
Yeah, yeah. And last but not least, I think this is outside of Christian McCaffrey, probably the biggest bust on this list. Well, and Olave, I guess.
Breece Hall?
But pretty bad. This is pretty bad. Jaquita, Raheem Mostert in round 6. Again, the same round that Aaron Jones ended up going in.
Who has Breece Hall?
I believe that was Chris.
But
I gave it to. I thought about Breece Hall, but he did average like 15 points a game.
For how many games?
He started most games and he averaged 15 points.
Okay.
So I thought Olave was a better LVP candidate. So there you go. Those are the people you can be mad at and blame for not being in the playoffs, while the rest of us are enjoying the fruits of our draft picks.
I'm not going to enjoy this at all. These next 3 weeks are going to be absolute
Yes,
torture.
they
The
are.
good news is we've been saying over the last few weeks that Evan, you and I might meet in round 2, and it would
But
hurt
we're
our
not going
friendships.
to.
We're not going to.
At most, the only option is in the championship.
That's right. That's right. So,
But
It's not
but if you remember correctly, I have already told you who was going to be in the
then it's you
championship.
two.
Evan and myself.
And that might still be right. I kind of think that might
It's
be
co-
what it
it's
comes
co-
down to.
You know, it would help if Debo Samuel remembered how to play football. That would be a good thing for me.
Better than Mike Evans, you said?
Well, what are we going to do? Mike Evans didn't get pneumonia.
No, he just tore his hamstring.
All right. So we'll move on to this week's games, and everybody's playing. Everybody's back. I would say,
God.
please manage your rosters correctly in your other leagues. If
Don't do it in our league.
Garland, don't start anybody good. But mostly it's the people that got you here. Stick with those.
Yep.
Don't go chasing.
Don't get cute.
Don't go chasing waterfalls. Joking. But don't go chasing those points that you think people had a blow up game. Don't chase those. Go with who got you there and who is steady. So starting off Thursday night will be the Rams versus the 49ers. The Rams are 7-6 and the 49ers are 6-7. And before we get started on this game, I would just like, this is also going to be very important going forward in your playoffs. You need to have your people in playoff contention. They need to have something to play for.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they might lay down on you.
Yeah. I would, if I were Evan, I'd be worried about someone like Burrow, how much effort he puts in as playoffs fall
Well,
apart.
they're still
He's still in the hunt.
still in the hunt.
Yeah. I
He,
feel like it's one more loss. and they're
he
done.
loses, and that's trouble.
It's going to be trouble for both of us.
Yeah, because you got Chase. That's right.
Yeah.
The Chases.
Yeah, the Chases. So first of all, we'll start off with the Rams. So Stafford, he's a go, right?
After last week, does he have anything left in the tank? Because he just put it all out there last week, and he's just done now.
Look, it's hard not to go with him when you have 2 star wide receivers.
It is. He has been slowly dropping off on his pass attempts, though, and that may be out of necessity.
I
in
think
the
that's
game
Williams
script and everything like that.
I think that's Williams because
Age.
give him the rock.
Yeah, for sure.
He's good.
Yeah, I would not start him in a one quarterback league, to be clear. Even after what he did last week, I still wouldn't start him in a one quarterback league. But Superflex, you're fine.
Interested in hearing you say this. Which of the 2 quarterbacks would you rather start?
And of
Stafford.
these two,
Really?
I was going to say Purdy.
I would too. Okay.
I like Purdy a little bit more this week. Not by a lot, but a little bit more.
So
You guys know my feelings on Stafford. Oh, no,
we're
Purdy.
not. I knew that's the reason I asked. Let's see. Stafford, 2 wide receivers, and Williams.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's pretty good.
easy. Yeah. Straight up.
Also, I will say Williams. I would a number 2 running back, not a 1.
Overall.
Yeah.
Or, you mean...
No. I'm talking.
As an RB2?
No, I disagree. He's an
The
RB1.
49ers defense is not that bad.
And they're getting worse every week. They've been so injured.
I'm just saying. All right, moving on. 49ers.
I'll tell you this much: if Isaac Grendo is hurt, the
man.
biggest trap play, and it would fall on me in this league, the biggest trap play is going to be Patrick Taylor.
Agreed.
I don't feel good about his not performance, his possibilities here, the potential in it, because he is the 5th string running back, and I know that we've talked a lot about how a 3-legged dog could run the ball in the 49ers offense, but as you were saying, they have been injured. Lots of parts are falling off. Patrick Taylor seems like a desperation play to me.
Well, The only and I agree with that, and the reason I agree with it is because if they get down to, if any team gets down to like the 3-yard line, most of the time it's going like to Williams, it's going to Saquon. Here, Purdy is going to stuff it in.
Yeah.
And that is going to be a real headache.
You might get a Debo look.
Yeah, I mean, it's
within 10, but yeah, for the most part, it's going to be Purdy gutting it. And
no, I agree. Taylor is not a sexy play. Don't chase just because Garendo did so great.
But the trouble with that is because the 49ers running backs have been doing so good, it makes it a really high ceiling, but that floor is ugly.
Yeah, do not chase that.
Yeah, don't chase that
waterfall
ceiling unless you absolutely
I was going to say chase that dragon.
Yeah.
But anyway. So,
the receivers?
Debo, no.
Debo is a no for me, and it hurts my feelings, but it is what it is. Debo's down. Juwan, I like.
Yeah,
Juwan, I like a lot this week.
And Kittle. Kittle's a must.
No, for sure. Kittle's
every week.
I feel like it's Purdy is Kittle, Jennings, and then maybe Debo.
Yeah, Debo again is going to be one of those ones. Debo and Taylor, I've got them on about the same tier.
I agree with that.
If you've gotta, you could do worse, but I'm not jumping over the fence to get there. You know, I'm not rushing to it.
If a different coach had said this, I would put more stock in it. But it is Kyle Shanahan. He said he wants to get the ball in Debo's hands more. That said, it's not just that they're not getting the ball in his hands. He's not breaking tackles the way he used to.
No.
It used to be if you have him in the backfield, okay, he's going to break the first tackle.
He can't even get
so he's immediately going down. He's just not the same guy he was.
It's tough. I mean, he hasn't topped 15 points since week 6, and before that he only did it 2 times. So, rough season for him.
The other thing to note is historically, the Rams have known how to shut down the 49ers offense. You asked which quarterback I would rather go with. That's part of it. Is Sean McVay he understands the Shanahan offense and he knows how to stop it.
Well, I feel like Purdy's going to have 300. I really do.
Yeah, I don't see it.
All right.
But I didn't see it last week, and he did well.
Yeah.
Yep.
So moving on, we'll go to the Chiefs versus the Browns. The Chiefs are 12-1, don't know how, and the Browns are 3-10.
I know how. I figured it out.
Juju magic?
No, I figured it out. The only difference in this year and last year, because they have a much better record than they did at this point last year, it's Kadarius Toney not making drops at the end of the game.
Yep.
Like not doing these dumb things that are costing them games. That's the only difference.
It makes sense to me. I mean, the Chiefs don't look good.
I don't
like any of them this week. Not I'm going with Patrick because I have to, but I don't like a single Chief.
That is so scary. Patrick is just. I mean, it's like every 4 games he'll throw up 25 points, and then those other games it's like 15.
15 at best. It was. I think he put up 18 last week, but even somebody like Pacheco, who you would generally consider being a pretty easy start option with that. I don't like it against this Brown defense, and I think it's going to be a low-scoring, close game unless we get cannon arm Jameis this week, unless he just comes out swinging. But I still got the Chiefs winning this game. I just don't know who I would start for anybody. Jerry Jeudy, maybe, for the Browns, but for the Chiefs, I got nobody. Maybe Kelsey, I guess. You would start Kelsey.
I would start Hopkins. I mean, Hopkins has been pretty solid the last few weeks. I think you start Hopkins and Worthy's still in desperation flex. Or actually, I would probably, Worthy's a fine consideration for wide receiver 3 or 4. We were talking about this before the pod. In the last 4 weeks, I think he's gone 9, 16, 29, something like that. I'm fine with Worthy, and I'm fine with Hopkins.
All right. And no on the running back, right?
I'd start Pacheco.
Would you?
I probably wouldn't. I don't think I would touch it this week.
I'd flex him.
I feel like
I think I'm a little higher on the Chiefs than you guys are, as much as I hate them.
I feel like Mahomes is going to be running for his life from Garrett.
Myles Garrett is a monster.
All right. So to the Browns, what do y'all think?
I would like to see Cedric Tillman do what he's supposed to do. I don't know he's just in protocol, but it feels like he's been in protocol for 3 weeks now. Jerry Jeudy, there's some buzz to that. Like, I don't feel bad about starting Jerry Jeudy this week if I was in that situation. If Tillman does come back and play, it hurts both of them, I believe.
Yeah, I agree.
But, Jameis is a second.
I will say, chasing the points and everything, I will say in this case, I would go with Judy. I mean, what, 2 weeks?
I think I would
3
as
weeks?
well. Yeah.
I feel like you got to go with him. I feel like it's a trend as opposed to chasing.
I agree. I would start Judy.
No
I would
on
not
Nick
start
Chubb.
Tillman. Yeah, no on Nick Chubb.
And Njoku.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going with Njoku. I think if you got Njoku, you know you're going to ride him the rest of the way.
Absolutely.
Been solid.
All right. Next game, we have the Bengals versus the Titans. The Bengals are 5-8. The Titans are 3-10. And come on, Bengals.
Yeah, Joe Burrow popped up as a limited participant in practice this week.
He'll be fine.
I'm sure he'll be fine. It is wrist and hand, though, so definitely something to keep watch of.
Which hand?
It doesn't say that I can tell.
That's important information.
He'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I've referenced the exploding whale game before, where the good team that has underperformed all year just kind of blows up on somebody. Shout out Sam Monson for coining that term, but against the Titans, this feels like a good exploding whale game for the Bengals.
That would be great. Let me get one of those 48-point games out of Joe Burrow. Absolutely. I'm still rolling all your skill positions in Bengals, like every one of them.
T. Higgins.
Even T. Higgins.
Sure.
T. Higgins has been back to being T. Higgins again, and I like it. I like all of them this week.
Definitely roll everybody on that team.
If you're in a desperation spot, I'd even consider starting Tanner Hudson as like.
Nah,
Ooh.
you lost me there.
And
I'll give you your hot take.
I mean, that's
the spice
he's
of
available.
meatball.
Yeah, that's again desperation play, but he could be worth a look. He's
All
got
right.
some looks.
So the Titans. Well, I'll just start by saying this. I was wrong last week about the Titans.
Yeah.
I expected so much more,
Me
and
too.
it didn't happen. Of course, probably a lot of it was the AC sprain.
Yep.
With Levis, although he said he's good this week, I still wouldn't trust him. I think the only person on the Titans would be
Tony Pollard.
Mr. Tony Pollard.
Tony Pollard has been Mr. Consistent this year. Definitely go with him in that position.
I'd give Ridley a look.
I can say that.
Yeah, I would say that I'd probably.
I think he's
Let's
wide
not
receiver
forget what
3.
this defense is. Yeah.
Sure.
I think Ridley.
Very porous.
Yeah, exactly. Against the secondary, I'd take that.
I'd start Ridley over Debo this week.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I would too.
What about Inkena Smith?
See, I knew what was going to happen with that because I picked this guy up, and that's going to be the end of his looks. And
Why'd you do that?
Sorry, guys.
You screwed
I didn't
me
mean
too.
to. I didn't mean to. I got him in one league, and I knew. I didn't start him. Thank goodness.
So everybody listening, it's Evan's
It's my fault. It's my
Yeah,
fault.
I mean, I was
apologize.
over here. I was the only one saying CeeDee Lamb over Nick Westbrook Akine on this pod last week.
Yeah, sure.
For once, you get it right. Anyway, moving on. All right.
For once, I also said Sam Darnold was going to be a top 5 quarterback.
What about your other? What about your other booms?
They were not bad. Some of them were okay.
Some
Devontae Smith finished in the top 30, I believe.
Yeah, some of them were okay.
All right. Next game: the Commanders versus the Saints. The Commanders are 8-5. The Saints are 5-8. Are the Saints out technically? They're out, aren't they?
Not in that division.
No, not in the they're in the hunt, but not really. I don't think they go anywhere.
All right. Commanders. Jaden.
Jaden.
Mm-hmm. Terry, starting Terry.
Yep.
Scary Terry. What?
Brian Robinson. I think
Is he playing?
I think he's fully healthy at this point.
Who knows? Good luck with that.
I think he is. I mean, they had their bye last week. I'm going to assume he's all rested up. KJ Osborne just got signed to the Commanders after the Patriots finally released him.
Really?
That doesn't mean anything this week.
No, it doesn't.
No,
It
not
doesn't.
really.
But Noah Brown is out for the season, so it's just something to keep an eye on.
Zach Ertz is a worth a look for sure. He's been putting up some touchdowns, getting him about
Yeah.
13, 15 points, and that's solid for a tight end. You can't ask a lot more
Yeah,
out
he's a
of him.
low-end tight end starter.
Yeah.
That's got to be it on that team,
I
right?
agree.
I would say we don't talk about this much, but I would roll Commanders defense this
Yeah,
week.
there's been
I
a
feel
lot of
pretty
buzz
good.
about
I've heard that too.
Yeah.
Garland picked them up, and I was like, I don't really know how to take that. So
Yeah,
A lot of people are into the Commanders defense this week.
I think it's a safe enough play. You know, it's a gamble, but not that big a one.
all right, moving on to
Marshawn Lattimore revenge game?
Is he? What is up with him? Is he going to play this week?
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
All right,
He ain't
so
got nothing to be revengeful about.
he should be happy.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry. The Saints.
I don't know. The Camaro.
That's it.
Yeah.
that's
Gotta
it.
be.
That's
Gotta
it.
be right.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to dart throw MVS, but
Look,
why would you? I just
Not
don't do
without
it.
Carr.
I did
No.
call Keandre.
Yeah, he had an okay game,
It was-
didn't he?
I think it would have been better, but it was okay. Let's see. Other than that, that's it. Next game: Ravens versus the Giants. The Ravens are 8-5. The Giants are 2-11. And what kind of beatdown will this
Yeah,
be?
do you think we should start any Ravens this week? Anybody on that Baltimore squad worth a look?
Look, here's the bad thing. Tony in our league, he's missing out this week.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
that would suck to have that on your roster and just watch them just go off and not do anything.
Burn through a great
It's-
week. I don't even
No,
know.
I'm okay with that because it's like you just feel very powerful. Like, look at what my guys are getting ready
Gosh,
to do.
that's not how that goes.
Yeah, and they got the Steelers next week, which that's usually a hard knock game.
So the Ravens start everybody right.
Yeah.
What do we think?
Zay? I mean, Zay's the question mark, I guess. I would probably start him.
I think Zay is safe enough.
Zay Malik Neighbors.
Zay or Malik Neighbors.
Which one?
Yeah, all right,
Oh,
so
Neighbors. I would
that's
go
going to
Neighbors.
depend. Well, for me, it's going to depend on if he actually plays. But again,
If
I
he-
started him last week, or I didn't start him last week because he was out of practice all week, saying he was hurt, and then he put up a 10-point game. He had a 14-point game. Yeah, I would take Neighbors over
All
Zay,
right.
but
Let's see, Zay or Marvin Harrison Jr.
Zay.
who are the Cardinals playing this week?
They got a good matchup. They're playing the Patriots.
I would go Zay.
That's close for me.
That's
That's a
horrible
coin
matchup
toss,
for
I think.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Okay.
Against Christian Gonzalez. Yeah, give me Zay.
Okay. Let's see. That was it on that. So Giants. Whew.
Neighbors and Tyrone Tracy. That's it.
Are we
Call
going
it a
with
day.
Tracy?
I don't
I
like
don't-
Tyrone
Tracy had a
Tracy.
great
this
game
week.
last week.
I'm sure he did. I don't like him this week.
Okay.
I
would
think
not
that he's
start him.
getting.
16 points last week.
I think he's getting games
most of
scripted
it,
out.
yeah, most of it was passing though.
I think.
Which I mean, it's
it
points.
counts.
Yeah,
It's
I mean, I
points.
can't say that.
Am I parked behind her?
She'll let us know.
Okay. Sorry.
A little technical difficulties.
My fault. Oh, there she goes. I think she got it.
All right, the next
can't
game will be the Cowboys versus the Panthers. The Cowboys are 5-8. The Panthers are 3-10, and a big old dog pile.
Yeah.
This is the paper bag full of poo on fire on your porch.
I will tell you this much: the Panthers are getting it together. The Panthers are looking okay. I'm comfortable in Adam Thielen this week. Bryce Young is a low-end QB2 for me. As far as Cowboys go, I like Rico Dowdle. I'm up
I
on
agree.
Rico Dowdle.
What? Okay.
Finally working him right.
Before we jump to the Cowboys, any running backs?
Chuba.
Yeah,
Chuba?
you're going to Chuba.
Okay.
I think you're going with Chuba for sure.
All right.
And, I mean, just shout out to Jonathan Brooks, man. That sucks.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Second ACL tear in that knee in 13 months. I thought he was really good in college. I liked his tape. I knew
He
it would
was.
take. I didn't think he would be good this year because I figured it'd take some time to come back. But awful to see. That's going to be hard to come back from. But good news for Chuba Hubbard.
Let's see. Cowboys now. Rico,
Rico's a good start this week.
CD,
Yeah.
and
And that's it. I retract any.
Schoonmaker.
Oh, Ferguson's back now.
Yeah.
And Ferguson was okay last week.
He was surprisingly okay. He hasn't really been able to do much with Cooper Rush under center, but
Nobody has.
I don't really. I'm still not rolling with Ferguson. I don't think. I mean,
I think he's
my
a back.
first-
He's like in that Zach Ertz range for me.
All right.
I got Ertz a decent amount ahead of him, but
I would
yeah, sure.
I would pick Ertz. Just the quarterback play is better
Yeah.
than Rush. Let's see. Next game will be the Jets versus the Jags.
Terrible.
The Jets are 3-10, and the Jags are 3-10.
I'm honestly surprised this game hasn't been played in Europe with how crap it is.
This is definitely a crap. Who is going to watch this game?
I'll catch a couple
Die Hard.
clips on Red Zone.
Oh no, that's going to be bad. Okay, if you had to, Cowboys versus Panthers, Jaguars versus Jets. Who you watching?
Cowboys Panthers.
Yeah, probably.
Bryce Young's exciting right now.
Yeah, it's nice to see a little comeback story out of the kid. It's had a rough go of it, and he's coming to it.
He's looking pretty good right now.
Adam Thielen is 75 years old and still catching touchdowns. That's cool.
Yeah.
So on the Jets, Breece Hall, no.
If he plays, I mean, that's the question.
I don't know if he's going to play. If he doesn't play, I'm definitely not trusting Braylon Allen.
Braylon Allen worked. I scooped him and plugged him in 1 week league last week, and
Was
it
it
worked out
last
fine.
week he did okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's just been.
Meh.
He had a good look at the beginning of the season when he got in there for a little while, but I'm still not real comfortable with it.
He's the definition of meh.
Yeah.
I think I would start. I would. Braylon Allen would be a flex play if Breece Hall doesn't start, and if Breece Hall does start, I'm starting him.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's hard to sit
Garrett-
Breece Hall, to be honest.
Garrett Wilson?
Yeah.
Devontae, yes.
Both
Devontae
of them.
for sure.
Garrett Wilson had a great game last week, didn't he? They both went
I couldn't
off.
remember. That's the reason I was asking.
both-
But
went
that's
off
the
last
trouble.
week.
That's the trouble. This game is either going to be one where everybody's putting up points,
Or nobody.
or nobody gets past the 50-yard line all day.
Yeah, I don't know. That Jags
40 to
defense
40.
is just-
The
40 to-
the 40-yard line to the other 40-yard
Yeah,
line. That's
that's
the gameplay.
I think that this is the last defense in the NFL that Aaron Rodgers' offense is built to beat. Like, they just run a ton of man,
Sure.
and I think Rodgers will have fun with that. I think Rodgers can actually do okay this week.
If he can,
I
you know,
feel like
throw the
you're.
ball.
I feel like you're overthinking that part. I think they're just trash, but
Yeah, it can't.
maybe.
It can't all be. You know, scheme is not necessarily a victory.
well,
And
it's
Aaron's
scheme
washed.
plus skill.
Sure, but
Yeah, that's the
skill
Jets.
part is the rough spot there. They got excellent skill positions, but the quarterback has been trash.
I'll push back a little bit as an Aaron Rodgers hater. Most of this season, if you watch him throw for throw, I think his skill's still there. Like, his arm hasn't gone or anything. He's a little bit less mobile, but his arm's still there. It is just that he wants to run this specific scheme that does not work anymore. That is the biggest thing going against him, in my opinion.
Fair.
all right. Let's see the Jags. Anybody on the Jags? Brian Robinson.
I'm sorry, Brian Thomas.
Brian
Thomas. I
Thomas.
said Robinson too.
Yeah.
I
Mac Jones, anybody?
think
Pass.
Mac
No.
Jones is an. There's nobody that's going to be in a position where he is so desperate that they have to start him.
Let's hope
But
not.
hypothetically, it would be somebody I would put at the bottom of a QB2 list. Not so far that you wouldn't start him. If you had nobody else worth a shot,
I'd start a skill player over him for that super flex spot.
fair. I mean, I guess.
Okay.
I don't see anybody being
Since-
in a position that they'd have to. But if
Mac
they had
Jones,
to, you could
Zach
do worse.
Ertz.
Not that skill player.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Mac Jones. I would go Mac
Because
Jones
it
in
would
that
have to
case.
be. It would have to be a tight end or him. That would be my
Yeah.
low point.
Yeah, any wide receiver I would put over Mac Jones just about.
Put
Not
Debo-
Nick Westbrook-Akine.
Debo?
Debo I would put over Mac Jones.
Absolutely. Next game, Dolphins versus the Texans. The Dolphins are 6-7. The Texans are 8-5. Let's go with the Dolphins first.
Waddle popped up with a hamstring injury today, which I hate. But
He's been so good so lately.
yeah, that's the thing. He finally comes on strong, and now this, hamstrings are so scary. Hopefully, this is just a precautionary thing because he really has. I mean, he's been better than Tyreek Hill in the last
Yes.
month.
Yes.
He has been.
Although
the wide receiver
Tyreek
one.
showed out last
Tyreek
week.
did.
I'm loving Jonnu Smith.
Yeah,
I'm
crazy
loving
thing.
Jonnu.
Crazy game.
Did you watch
Yes.
Jonnu's stat line as that game progressed?
It was crazy.
Oh, yeah.
He caught one pass, trucked the dude, and then caught the next pass, and then scored a touchdown.
Well, but at the end of
It was-
regulation,
yeah, end of the game.
0 points.
I
0
know.
points
Yeah.
until
And then 13 points in overtime.
overtime. Yeah. I'm loving Jonnu. I don't care if that's how that
Yeah.
regular.
Look, if Tua for the last month has been on fire,
Mm-hmm.
if man, he would be MVP in the talks if
Yeah.
he would have been like this the whole year.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Like, this is what their team has been missing. Although the poor run game, bless their hearts,
And
There-
it's just so
there-
surprising
there's-
that run game being
there's
so trash.
There's no run game
Yeah.
I would still start Achan, but it's getting.
because of the passes. You got to.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's no running.
They just had that two-headed dragon last year, and it was so
Effective.
difficult for them,
Yeah.
for anybody to do anything about. And it's just not that way this year.
I never liked Achan as a high volume guy. Like, I think that was part of the mistake was they made him their high volume.
And he's more of a Darren Sproles.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
100%. That is him.
That's yes, absolutely. It does remind me of that
Twitchy.
early 2000 Saints backfield.
yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't anymore. No, it's just
Dion Lewis, anyone?
So here's the question. Now we're moving on to the Texans.
Mhm.
The Texans. What's coach's name? Can't think of it.
Well, Bobby Sloak is the offensive coordinator.
Head coach.
And then, I was trying to stall for time while I
Oh,
thought of the head coach, D'Amico Ryans.
well played.
Nico Ryan.
So D'Amico, both of them, and what's his name? Jerry Curl,
Mike McDaniel.
Mike McDaniel. They coach together.
Yes.
So I feel like D'Amico knows,
Yes.
and they know each other. So this is going to be a hard game. I think.
I
think it's going to be a good game.
I don't
I
like
just-
C.J. Stroud this week. He's towards the bottom, and QB in a 2 QB league. I'm
the-
obviously starting him, but
At the bottom, you say C.G. Stroud, Mac Jones.
C.J. Stroud.
C.J. Stroud, yeah.
Easily.
I'm just saying. You said they're both at the
Well,
bottom.
yeah,
He's slightly above him.
he's a little bit above him for sure, but he hadn't been. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. If it's just his receivers being banged up or what, but he's been kind of slipping pretty hard these
Sophomore
last
slump.
couple of weeks.
It's going to be interesting because Dale's healthy, Nico's healthy, Joe Mixon is a hoss.
Joe Mixon has been so good this
Are
year.
you starting him, Evan?
Yes, absolutely. I believe I might put him into my third flex spot,
Okay.
Above Mac Jones.
right above Mac Jones. But if something were to happen,
Mac is there. The Texans, I would just say on this, watch out. Both the secondaries are going to be wound up to play this game, so temper your expectations.
I would
On
say
both
especially
teams?
with Tank Dell. The Tank Dell I'm not huge about. I don't know that it happens this week.
One note on the Miami defense. Jalen Ramsey for Miami.
Yes.
Quietly having one of the best seasons
Great
of his
season.
career. But then last week he just got torched. He was awful last week. So is he falling apart now, or is he
No.
gonna come back to form and play really, really well again?
I think so. I have him in my IDP
Yeah.
league. I have been starting him nonstop
Yeah.
because, like you said, great season so far.
And what's weird is he's not being like a loudmouth about it. You know,
Right.
that's
That is
like
very strange for
like
his
he
whole
normally
MO.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just been really quiet and productive.
Yeah, I have two loudmouths on my secondary: Tyrone Matthew,
Yeah.
Matthew, and Jalen Ramsey, and both of them have been quiet this year.
Yeah.
Next game,
He got a little mouthy against the Giants. Y'all are calling plays like you don't know I'm out here. He said,
That's
right.
funny though.
"Yeah,
next game, Colts versus the Broncos. The Colts are 6-7. The Broncos are 8-5. And
The Broncos feel like a better team than an 8-5 team right now. Anyway,
well,
See,
it
I
should be
would-
9-4 if not for that blocked field goal against the Chiefs."
I
Sure.
know. Gosh. So Colts, who is starting?
I don't like any
Josh
of them.
Downs? Question mark.
I feel like Josh Downs is a start.
Yeah,
And
and
I-
Jonathan Taylor.
Josh Downs
And
feels like
Jonathan
the
Taylor.
safest start of the wide receivers, but I still don't trust him. I still don't like him at all.
So-
I'm starting Debo over Josh Downs.
Ooh.
That would be my pick.
I would pick Josh Downs over Debo.
I
fair.
think I would probably put them next to each other with Downs ahead.
Okay. So y'all have been pretty high up on AR at the start.
No. Let's
At
not
the-
do revisionist history here.
What
we're not high up on him, but we understand. We can.
You were higher, and then you've tempered your
Sure.
expectations. I was getting to that,
Okay.
Evan.
All right.
So,
yeah.
are we still tempered on AR?
He's a super flex.
Yeah, he's super flex, and
Okay.
that's about the best you're gonna do.
And to Evan's point about revisionist history, he was like off my draft board at draft time. I wanted nothing to do with AR at draft
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't. I wasn't being mean. I was
Yeah,
just saying.
I'm just saying.
I was just saying.
My point was always just if you have him for a reason. You obviously believe in him.
No, what I was. Oh well, it doesn't really matter. I was just saying, are y'all still down on him?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I'm
he's-
not high on him,
No,
but
I have contended for a while that he's just fine.
Yeah, I
He
agree
can-
with that.
He can do pretty good, or he could do real bad.
He's volatile.
He's fine. Volatile is a good word.
he's volatile.
He has been better since he was benched.
Yeah,
Yeah, that kind
That's the
of
only
shook
thing.
him up a little bit.
That's the
I
only
think.
thing I would say that would help him.
Should we just do this for all bad quarterbacks? Because we saw the same thing with Bryce Young. Like, if a quarterback is bad, try benching him and see if that's like.
But the problem is,
Or-
it doesn't work if it's like an injury because it happened to Derek Carr and he came back.
No,
and
yeah,
he was
it's gotta be
terrible.
for
It's got to be a
Or
bench.
should they be starting in the first place?
But when they
Let's-
come back, they're so much better.
What if they benched Aaron Rodgers?
No, I don't think it works for everyone because I think
New
if you-
York would go crazy.
and we'll get into Atlanta soon. But like, I think if you benched Kirk, you can't bring him back because Kirk
No.
just seems like
No.
he would take that so he wouldn't channel that into getting better. Kirk would just fall apart if you benched
So
him.
it's probably an age thing then. When you get into, your quarterback 80s and 90s years old.
I think it's a personality thing.
Well,
I think you got to know the personality of the player.
See, I think it's an age thing where
Old dogs and new tricks and all
you
that.
can't. I'm the best. You can't
Yeah.
change me.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. That's how he looks. I mean, I'm an MVP, Super Bowl winner. Who's starting over me?
Yeah,
Right.
I mean that's definitely Rodgers' personality. I think
Absolutely.
he was always that way.
But to the original point, I don't like Anthony Richardson this week, especially against Denver. I don't.
Yeah, it's a tough defense.
Denver, Bo Nix, light him up, right?
Yep.
Sure,
And
yeah.
Cortland Sutton.
And Cortland. What about
No.
Marvin Mims?
It didn't matter who you were going to say. I just
know.
named the only two people I'm a yes
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
No, nothing on the running backs.
No.
I don't like the situation either.
Who's he going to be?
Yeah.
I agree. I'm throwing it out there.
And I don't like Valet. What's his name?
Devon Vele?
Valet.
Or Troy Franklin?
No, thank
I
you.
feel like Troy Franklin is higher up than most.
All right.
He's still. I wouldn't.
Yeah, no.
I'm not saying to start. I'm just saying if you get down to your Mac Jones situation, that Troy Franklin's above Mac
My
Jones.
position is I'm out on, like, there is no point at this point in the season to have Jaleel McLaughlin, the third string running back that had the one good week.
Estime?
Audric
Yeah.
Estime. There's no reason to have these guys rostered. Troy
You shouldn't.
Franklin, you should not have on your roster.
Unless you're in that Mac Jones situation.
If you're in that Mac Jones situation,
You're not in the playoffs.
So yeah, just don't have these guys on your roster. They are a waste of a spot.
That was not a slight to the people with Troy Franklin and Estime.
I'm just sitting here quiet because I'm sitting there knowing that I have Amir Abdullah on my bench right now.
It's like why? What are you doing?
Just taking a guess.
Anyway, moving on. The next game will be the Bills versus the Lions. The Bills are 10-3. The Lions are 12-1.
This
Game of the
is
week.
giving me an ulcer.
Game of the week.
This is going to be a good one.
Yeah, I like this one a lot. Roll with most of them. Roll with the most of them.
Everybody.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm feeling unwell just thinking about this game. I don't even want to talk about
Okay,
this game.
so I have quietly been last 2 weeks watching the Detroit games. Jameis, where are we at with Williams? Jameis Williams.
Same as I've always been.
Are you still on that train? Don't do anything with him.
I'm on the train of it depends on your situation. Of like if you're an underdog, sure, throw him in there and shoot for the moon. But if you're in a pretty good position in your matchup,
That brings up a good question, and I would love to know both of y'all. Okay, you're out of it for this second. Evan, are you going? I'll put you back in, Paulie. I'm sorry.
back baby.
If you're in a situation where you're playing this week and you don't have a bye, are you shooting for the moon, or are you being safe?
Evan, he originally wanted this question for you, so I'm gonna stick with it.
And the only reason I was doing this is because you had a bye. It
feel
really
like
doesn't matter to you this week.
Go on.
Again, this is just going to depend on the strength of your bench anyway, but I feel like I shoot for the moon right there. If first week of playoffs, if it's down to the point where I'm having to roll dice to fill my spots, I'm going for the guys that could. I'm going for Jameson Williams.
Upside.
I'm going for upside. I'm going for these guys who, they might tank, but they could hit 25 points this week. It just kind of depends.
So he's going upside.
I'm rolling with Amari Cooper. Upside. He hasn't
Okay.
shown a whole lot, but I'm
It's
giving
there.
him a shot.
The
Yeah,
passes
it-
are
it
there.
could happen.
Okay.
I can frame this in a way that will be offensive to one of our listeners.
Ooh.
It's one of the people from Singapore.
Don't talk about the Singaporeans.
We love our Singapore
We love our
audience. I would never
Singapore
offend
audience.
them.
Is any of them sitting at this table?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
Cool. Yeah, how about
The other person's probably not listening.
In our league, if I were against Garland, I would shoot for the moon. I would shoot for the upside.
Don't tell me
If
that.
I were against Joe, I would play it safe. Because I'd feel...
So why?
Because Garland has a much better chance of putting up 200 points on me than Joe does, so I'm going to need the players who match that. Joe has been, falling off a cliff the last month. So I just want to get by against Joe. I don't want to screw things up if I'm against Joe. But if I'm against Garland, I might feel a little pressure to score a lot of points.
Would that be because he's beat you?
Yeah, especially the fact that Garland has the best
He has your
record
number.
against me of anyone in this league. That certainly plays a factor as well.
Okay.
But even setting aside that part, like Garland, again, it's this idea of who are you playing against? What do you expect from their team this week? And that's got to inform your decision of someone like
I'm going guns a-blazing. Whoever got me there, I'm rolling with them.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got to say. Let's see. Bills. Everybody lines. Everybody. Is there anybody on either of these two teams that are in skill positions that y'all would not start?
I would watch James Cook, and that might be a spicy take, but we watched him last week. Not really do a whole lot. I don't know about the Lions and how he holds up there.
Well, it doesn't help when your quarterback rushes for 3 touchdowns.
And that is a big concern.
The good news is the Lions don't have a defense. It's a mash unit out there. Like it's.
What was it, 13, 16 people?
It was 17 going into last week, which is twice as on injured reserve. That's twice as many as the team with the second most number of players on injured reserve. And then we had players get hurt in that game.
They're still doing pretty good for
not the defense. I mean, the game came down to the wire. I mean, Green Bay was scoring at will. That was why Dan Campbell went for it on 4th and 1 in that situation when he could have taken the field, because he knew that they were just going to march down and score if they got the ball back.
I hope they score at will.
That would be nice.
So, I mean, this could be another game just like last week where it's back and forth shootout. The good news for Detroit is this game really doesn't matter. At all for them.
So you're Dan Campbell. You're Dan Campbell. This game doesn't matter all that much. Are you putting Amon-Ra in positions to make these big plays and risking hurting him?
Oh, Dan Campbell absolutely is.
Okay.
Dan Campbell wants to win every game, and he wants to, and they're not
He's
afraid to.
He's biting kneecaps.
And biting kneecaps. And Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator, has not been afraid to break out all the trick plays that other teams would hide in the middle of blowouts, in the middle of games against inferior teams. He says he has an infinite number of these plays, and he's not afraid to let people see them. I don't think they let their foot off the gas. Amon-Ra, potentially top 5 wide receiver this week.
I'd like to see it because he has not been Amon-Ra this year.
He is not my boom this week, but he was on the short list for boom of the week.
All right, so the next game, this is my scared game. Steelers versus the Eagles. The Steelers are 10-3. The Eagles are 11-2. Let's go with the Steelers.
Go Steelers. I think
Eagles.
I think it's a bad game for us, and
I do too, especially if Pickens doesn't play.
He's not.
He's almost certainly not.
Yeah, I figured he wasn't.
He's doubtful, I think.
The only I'm like you. I would start. What's his name? Running back.
Najee Harris. That's about it for the Steelers.
Najee and Chris Boswell.
Yeah, Chris Boswell for sure.
If you do not have Chris Boswell, by the way, shame on you.
Yeah, Tomer.
Great player.
Shame on everyone but Uriah.
I have him in almost every league. So
Good for you. Good for you.
So that's the only two for Steelers. Eagles. Does the squeaky wheel?
Yes.
Is it true? That's a bigger thing. This stuff about the beef between AJ and Jalen, is it real?
I don't think it is.
I don't think it's beef. I think it's just mad because he's not getting his.
I don't know that I haven't even heard him say anything.
Right. That's what I'm asking about. Like we saw all these news reports and everything about him, but if
it's on the news, it's true, right?
What he said was, our passing game needs to get better, and people interpreted that as Jalen Hurts needs to get better. But I think he was considering himself part of the passing game.
Sure.
However, I said earlier that if another coach had said what Kyle Shanahan said, I would believe it more about getting Debo the ball more. Kellen Moore did say, we need to get A.J. Brown the ball more, and I do believe him.
Okay.
And I do think, as much as we talk about the Philly defense, not the Philly defense, the Pittsburgh defense, that secondary has been rough. Joey Porter Jr. has been real rough lately. I think A.J. Brown can cook. And, yeah, I think this is a good game for him. I would just assume him just not even play this week. Rest up, King. But I do think he goes off in a big way.
How do you feel about Devontae?
I think he's another one. Yeah, it's another good matchup for him. I like Devontae at this point. I think they're going to start passing the ball a little bit more.
Cool.
Okay. Next game, Patriots versus the Cardinals. The Patriots are 3-10. The Cardinals are 6-7. Let's start with the Patriots. Anybody?
I love you, Drake May. And he is super flex consideration, and
yeah,
that's it.
It's a consideration at best for Drake May.
Oh, I mean, I would say he's a solid one. Don't get me wrong.
I like him, and I think he's been doing good, but I don't know about it. I don't know about it this week. But as QB2, sure, he's ahead of Mac Jones by quite a bit.
I was just wondering.
I
was fixing to ask it.
Just a consideration.
He's a high-end QB2. I mean, he's my QB3 because I've got
Of course he is, because he's great.
Because
I'm sorry.
Because the number one seed, of course, has plenty of options at quarterback. but I think for most teams, you'd be happy to start Drake May as your number 2. Ramondre is the only other one to even think about, and I would. Well, Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry's a start at tight end, I would say.
Okay.
Ramondre is the only one to consider, but again, number 1 seed who owns him over here, I've got better options.
Fair.
Anyway, Cardinals. Are we starting everybody on the Cardinals? You got to, right?
Probably, yeah.
Even the defense?
How are we defining everybody?
Skill players.
I mean, you're starting James Conner. Are you starting Marvin Harrison? You said
am.
You didn't
Trey
like the
McBride.
matchup.
I don't like the matchup for Harrison. I would temper expectations. He's a flex option. I don't think he's a required start, but you probably will start Marvin.
I feel like you would start everybody.
Yeah, Trey McBride for sure. Don't fool with Michael Wilson. I love you, Michael Wilson, but you're not a fantasy starter this year.
All right, Buccaneers versus the Chargers. The Bucs are 7-6. The Chargers are 8-5. This will also be a good game, I think.
I think you're right.
Buccaneers first.
Rachaad White looked good without Bucky Irving. Let's start there. I mean, he really did.
How long is Bucky out?
It's
week
not
to week,
even.
right?
Yeah, he's not even guaranteed to be out this week.
Yeah.
Oh, Bucky's back, baby.
If Bucky's back, then it gets ugly.
Throw it on there. Let's go.
I mean,
if
start
Bucky's
Bucky
back,
if
I'm
he's back, don't get
starting.
me wrong.
If Bucky is
Yeah.
back, he is absolutely a play.
agree with you.
He's been outstanding.
You're starting some guy named Mike Evans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kate Otten.
He's kind of fallen off a little bit, but
Yeah, we
probably
talked about
He
this
was
last
decent
week.
last week.
And
Yeah.
yep, I was the only one who was like, you can still start him.
I said you
And-
could still start him.
I thought you were all.
No.
Oh no, he's
Points.
been bad.
Cade,
I guess Evan
He's
was the only
money.
one who was out on him.
what did he
10
score last
points.
week? I mean,
that's not bad.
Yeah. All I look for out of a tight end is 6 points. If you
Yeah.
can get me 6 points, I'm happy. 3 for 32.
I'll take that touchdown. Just a simple touchdown, and
Yeah.
I'll be happy.
So yeah, Mike Evans is a solid start. Don't chase Jalen McMillan. I think he had a good game last week. Don't chase
He
it.
did.
Don't chase it. And Baker, QB1.
Baker, absolutely.
The Chargers. Got-
Definitely not Gus Edwards.
Well,
it's over
yeah.
with.
Here's what I would say about the Chargers. If Ladd starts, Ladd and Justin.
Yeah.
If Ladd does not,
Neither of them.
you don't start anybody on the team.
No, I think
agree
you
with that.
stay away from all of it if he's not in there.
Are you starting the Will Dissly replacement, whose name escapes me?
No.
Who
I
has,
would-
like,
Smart.
I would.
Yeah, smart.
Smart.
If we had a deeper pool to pick players out of, I would probably drop Disley.
Yeah.
But there's no reason to in this league because there's nobody to pick
There's
up.
nobody left.
So I mean, that's where I'm at. I wouldn't even drop him to get the replacement.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's it on the Chargers. Sunday night game will be the Packers versus the Seahawks. The Packers are 9-4. The Seahawks are 8-5. Let's go with the Packers first. 3 people. Are you chasing Jaden Reed?
Jaden Reed made a lot of people angry last week. I don't see him
I don't see
doing
how
that
you-
twice in a row.
I
Yeah.
do. I don't think you can start him.
It's fair. It would make me incredibly nervous to start him, but there's just no chance that he puts up another goose egg. It might be kind of low, or it could
Bri-
be.
I'm
pretty
sorry,
high.
Brian Thomas Jr. or Jaden Reed.
Jaden Reed. I think I start Jaden Reed.
Jaden Reed or let's go with Ladd.
Ladd. I start Ladd there if he's healthy and good to go.
Jayden Reed, Waddle.
Again, if he's healthy.
If he's healthy, I feel like it's got to be Waddle, but that one's, yeah. If he's healthy, if he's not, Jayden all the way.
For me, ranking those players, it would be Ladd number 1, Waddle number 2, Brian Thomas number 3, Jayden Reed number 4. But that said, I'm probably still closer to Evan on Jayden Reed than you are. I still think Reed is a solid consideration. I just happen to like all those guys.
Okay. Let's see. Of course, Josh Jacobs. Of course, Jordan Love.
Tucker Kraft.
Yep.
Tucker Kraft.
No to the other receivers.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, for sure.
You're just
with
guessing.
Reed's the
You're guessing.
only receiver I'm interested in.
I have no interest in that. But moving on, Seahawks.
Sharbs.
What? God bless.
Sharbs coming back.
I
This
always
is
thought
year.
Sharbs was better than Ken Walker.
I-
So I feel a little bit validated.
Sure. Sharbs is good. I think this is its time to shine.
I hope you're right. Let's see. Jackson.
Especially because I think Joe has
He
Ken
has
Walker.
Ken Walker. He does.
Let's give it to Sharbs, man. That was outstanding. 2 touchdowns, 197 yards,
Yeah, I had him in another league. It was very, very
7
happy.
receptions. I mean,
He helped me survive Josh Allen,
Yeah.
going against Josh Allen in another league.
All right. So let's see. What about DK?
DK is not an auto start for me this week.
No,
JSN
really?
is. I'm getting to where I feel bad about this because I have always been lower on DK Metcalf than anyone in the world. But this year, I've been an apologizer for him while you two have been kind of iffy on him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done with that nonsense.
Yep.
I've never liked DK, and I am out. I'm out.
He is emphatically.
JSN is the better
I'm sure
option.
y'all can hear it,
Yeah.
but he is emphatically pointing at the table,
yeah,
banging it,
thumping on the table. I
thumping
get
the
it.
table.
I
Which
get it.
means DK Metcalf's going to have a big
That's
game.
how DK Metcalf
Absolutely.
makes people feel.
That's what's fixing to happen. We are. I wouldn't say Jackson Smith or DK.
Jackson Smith and Jigba.
DK or Jayden Reed.
DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's tough for me.
that
I'm
was a
not.
good
I don't
one.
feel. I don't feel good about saying that.
that was a good one. I'm happy with that one.
I think DK has a higher floor.
Yeah, higher than 0. Yes.
Let's see. 2 Monday night games. The
Ugh.
first one will be. Why do they do this crap?
'Cause they hate us.
They hate us.
Give me a
and,
Saturday game.
and these 2 matchups also. Ugh.
Okay, Bears versus the Vikings. The Bears are 4-9. The Vikings are 11-2. Bears first.
Caleb Williams will be in a blender, and
Yep.
I'm sad about that.
Yeah, and it really cuts away from DeAndre Swift, who has had a great season, but he's banged up. I don't like his matchup.
He's
one
been
I stay
bad
away
this
from.
week. I mean, bad
Last-
couple of weeks.
Last
Had
week he was bad,
That's the
but
reason I got rid of him.
last week he was bad. But he's had
I think
let's
he's
see,
been bad like a couple.
about 3 weeks. He has been hovering around that 10-point mark, which is not bad for a flex running back. But when you talk about earlier in the season when he was between 20 and 30, it's downhill from here for sure. And I don't think this matchup's any better.
He's looking more like he did when I had him at the beginning of the year.
So- Wide receivers.
None.
Really?
Not even DJ Moore.
Interesting. I would say DJ, yes. Everybody else, no.
This Vikings defense, though.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Caleb Williams is going to get eaten up.
Yeah.
He's going to get just wrecked.
And look, sometimes with this Vikings defense, even with the quarterback getting put into a blender, the outside receivers can still have some success. I just don't think it's this game.
Mm-hmm.
I think Caleb is going to be so out of it.
I think you have, my opinion, I think yes on
I understand. I understand where you're coming from. I just can't do it.
So the Vikings, everybody?
Yeah, pretty much everybody.
Every skill player?
Yeah. Your top 2 wide receivers, your running back, your quarterback, your tight end. I don't think Sam Darnold's going to be as good as he was last week when I had him as a boom player. But
What, you had to throw that in there, didn't you?
yeah, absolutely, I did. I mean, hey, to your now people are talking about Sam Darnold for MVP. So you should be very happy.
I think somebody called that.
Somebody
Somebody called that on here.
I think that's said Pro Bowl.
You know, that's the kid.
It's too much. He doesn't deserve
That,
it.
Listen.
that's the kid, the president of the science club getting nominated for homecoming kid. You know, it's nice that they're doing that, but nobody believes he's gonna win.
It's true.
He will be a Pro Bowl quarterback. I said that. He's good.
Very quickly, I would just like to ask this question. What do you do if you're Minnesota? Do you give him another contract, or do you roll on with JJ?
No. You
That
let him
depends.
go.
That depends on off season with JJ and how he actually looks. Because
You gotta make
am
the
very
decision soon.
low.
He's a free agent.
Sure.
And the thing that's going to kill you is he's going to be on the hook for probably $25 million.
Darnold.
Yeah.
What he's
so
looking for.
there's no way you can. I mean,
It's
I
the
don't know.
mystery box thing, right?
Me
Yes.
personally, I'm not super high on JJ in the first
I'm not
place.
either.
I don't like him
I'm-
as a quarterback.
I'm not-
I don't think he's going to work out.
I'm not either saying that, and I've been high on Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Darnold. I would not re-sign him. That's me.
It's tough. I don't know what I would do, honestly. And I, as someone who has not been a Darnold believer, I just don't know. It's tough because it's like, again, it's the mystery box thing. Okay, a boat's a boat, but the mystery box could be anything. It could even be a boat. Are you just hoping that J.J. McCarthy is as good as Sam Darnold?
To
He's
me,
got Sam Darnold.
Especially coming off an
Well-
ACL injury.
Yeah.
well, saying that, I know I'm coming way from a different place, but you have Addison and you have one of the
Yeah.
best wide receivers with Justin Jefferson. You have a great defense. You have an awesome running back right now.
They should come for Derek Carr. That's who the Vikings need.
A trade for
Go
JJ.
for it.
Sam
As a
Darnold.
Lions fan, I hope they do. I don't know. I will say, too, by the way, Minnesota, this team does feel a little bit like the Minnesota of a few years ago where they way overachieved and then got stomped in the playoffs. Same with Pittsburgh when they started off like 10-0.
Yeah.
And they just weren't as good as that record shows. I kind of feel like Minnesota is that.
I just feel like Mac Jones would be good on the Vikings.
Yeah.
I know
mean,
sounds-
Even Brock Purdy would be
he-
good.
Brock Purdy is better than Mac Jones.
He is. But you're right. I think Mac Jones would see some success. I don't think it's the same level.
No,
as a Sam
I
Darnold.
don't. And all I'm saying is, I think the wide receivers make a huge difference.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So moving on, next game will be why is this the last game? It sucks. Falcons versus the Raiders. The Falcons are 6-7. Don't know how. The Raiders are 2-11. Look for the Raiders with an upset.
So the real question
You
is,
think
how
so?
would Sam Darnold do on the Falcons?
I think Sam Darnold would be great at the Falcons, to be honest with you. I don't
I'm
like
just
the
thinking
Falcons,
of
but
the-
I think that position would work out well.
Better
for
than
him.
Kirk Cousins.
I'm just thinking,
Yeah.
the last Vikings quarterback going down to Atlanta in that comparison. So you said Raiders. You think Raiders are going to win?
I do.
Depends on who the quarterback is.
It doesn't matter.
If it's Desmond Ritter, man, I don't know.
I think Aiden's back.
It's question. It's like it's up in the air whether he's going to be ready.
I think as a dice roll, deep option. This is Sincere McCormick. I like
You're
it.
going for that?
No, I'm
buying
not.
it. Okay.
But I think that he's definitely worth a look. I mean,
Okay. Okay. Let me think. Sincere. If he's on your team,
it's probably going to be whatever you say second.
We can put this in real terms.
Yeah.
I want to say Sincere or Jaden Reed.
Jaden Reed,
Jaden
for
Reed,
sure.
For sure.
Okay. Sincere.
See, I'm not super high on this kid. I just think that it's I like to bring up these guys that are.
Sincere McCormick or Xavier Legette in a flex. This is a real one. Joe has
Yeah.
both these players.
Oof.
I would.
I think
say
Legette for the.
I would go Sincere.
I think Legette just for the PPR upside, but I don't.
Sincere.
I would also go Sincere.
And I feel yucky saying it.
Same.
That's fair.
Okay, so Raiders, and saying that, this because I'm predicting the upset, I would say Bowers and Sincere would be it.
My only thing to flag on Bowers. I love Bowers. He's been phenomenal. If he doesn't get Rookie of the Year,
Robbed.
I will write a sternly worded letter. However, and he had a great game last week, but I watched a lot of that game. They were taking him out of some key situations. Gotta get it plays, and they didn't even have him on the field. It's like, what are you guys doing? So
Best player on
I've
the
got
bench.
to wonder about that.
You guys, you're not with Jacoby? You don't think Jacoby's worth a look this year?
I don't
Or
have
this
any.
week?
I don't have any faith in him. He'll probably score
Just
but
because of the quarterback situation?
Yeah.
That's what it is? Okay.
If it's Aiden O'Connell, I think Jacoby's right around there
Better.
with like DK Metcalf for me, or all those guys we've been talking about.
I would put them higher than him, but I understand.
He
where
would.
you
I
come
would
from.
put him like right behind DK probably. If it's Desmond Ritter, man, I don't want anyone. By the way, revenge game, Desmond Ritter, revenge game. But I just don't want anything to do with anything from Desmond Ritter except for Brock Bowers.
Do I not recall? I might be misremembering it. Didn't Desmond Ritter have a little run there with the Falcons that was actually surprisingly good?
I wouldn't call it good. I would call
Maybe
it like,
I just thought
think
that
he-
there was a point where he was actually like, oh,
No,
hey, this
I think
guy,
he
and
just-
then it just didn't happen.
I think he just played.
Okay.
yeah.
I don't think it was actually
just didn't
good or
screw
bad.
up.
He was
Yeah,
just on the field.
Yeah, it wasn't good or bad.
All right, fair enough.
Falcons. This is. I would love to know this because who do you trust on the Falcons?
Bijan.
Bijan.
I trust Bijan.
Okay, wide receiver wise.
Nobody really. I'm a little off
Two
on all of
people.
them.
Two people
Ray
are.
McLeod, two
two-
weeks in a row, doing pretty well.
Two people are going to score on this offense.
I-
But who are they? Is it Mooney?
I think
is
it's
it London?
I think it's
is it
Mooney.
Ray Ray?
I think that it's Mooney,
hope
and then
not.
Bijan catches a pass out of the backfield, and those are the two touchdowns we get through the air.
Kyle Pitts?
No,
No.
I don't like him.
I was just you. I know. I just know that you like Kyle Pitts.
I'm always
Not
out
anymore.
on Kyle Pitts.
I am too. I was briefly back in,
Uh-huh.
but now I'm all the way out. And
been-
for good out.
You
For
stuck
good
your
out.
toes in.
Slap
Get it
me if I say I'm in on Kyle Pitts.
You got
I'm
him. He's going to draft it next year.
Out.
First,
Out.
yeah.
Yeah.
10th round, Kyle Pitts.
There
Out.
it is.
Nope.
Um,
Done.
I guess I have to. I mean,
Maybe-
he's still here.
Michael Penix is going to be the quarterback next year, and I'm going to be like, you know what? Maybe this is what he
Yeah.
needs.
Evan,
He needs
what-
Michael Penix.
What will happen will be, well, I think that they have a good complex, and their head coach is really good, and their offensive coordinator, he trained under Bill Belichick, and he had 3 touchdowns.
That's a spot-on impression.
It is. It is. I can't object
Love you,
to
Paulie.
it.
Love
I
you.
cannot object to that impression.
got you.
I will say, and I can say this comfortably because the person who has him is out of the playoffs. If the Falcons do lose this game, they really might bench Cousins.
I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't at that point, because I think, well, I don't know. I don't.
I remember
don't
asking
like
this
him.
question.
He's
You
not
did.
looking.
Looking-
Yeah, you did.
He's
I
not
think
looking
this
healthy.
This is the game.
I mean, no.
Okay.
Unless he throws like 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, and they still lose, which is a weird scenario. Then they keep him.
That's
but-
not a weird scenario in Cincinnati.
Yeah, no, but I mean, particularly for the
Yeah.
Falcons against the Raiders, like that's
Sure.
the thing. If you play that well against the Raiders and still lose, what has happened? But yeah, if Kirk doesn't shine and they lose, I think it's Michael Penix next week.
I would love for the kid to get a chance. I dumped him a few weeks back, but still, give him a shot.
I don't think he's going to be good. To be clear, I did not think he was a first round talent, but we'll see. We'll see.
All right, so that does it for the games, and we're going to move into our funny part of the podcast.
Well, I do have booms and busts.
Oh,
Give
booms
us-
and busts.
give
Here
us some
we
booms and
go.
busts.
Give us the
Let's hear
booms.
'em.
Very
Because
quickly.
one person is going to be great, and you're going to call it next week how you're
That's
so
right.
great with the booms and the busts.
That's
But
right.
go ahead.
That's how this works. To be clear,
my
just-
boom this week was Derrick Henry.
No, that's Uriah over there. I try to be spicier than that, and mine are pretty spicy this week. But
Let's hear 'em.
Just
I can't
real quick,
wait.
just so our listeners know, I am never wrong. I am prematurely correct sometimes.
What?
Um,
That is. I'm gonna give you a hand in that. That is the most impressive Foley spin I've heard in a while.
That was good.
prematurely correct. So this week, our quarterbacks booming. Jordan Love, top 10 quarterback this week.
Interesting.
Yep.
That's big.
Got it. On the other hand, the worst quarterback who plays all 4 quarters is Russell Wilson.
Ooh.
I agree wholeheartedly with that.
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Top 10 running back this week, Rico Dowdle.
Nope.
much as I hate the man, I don't hate you. I have nothing against you personally. I just think you're not talented.
Rico Dowdle has only been up lately.
Yeah.
I like him too.
I'm buying it again in this matchup. On the other hand, finishing outside the top 10, so worse than Rico Dowdle this week, is Josh Jacobs.
Really?
Yes.
Not you go there. Don't go there.
Sorry
Wow.
to say. I know we've been
That
excited by how
is
good
a
he's been.
spicy take.
It is.
Well, I hope you're wrong.
Top 5 wide receiver this week. I mentioned earlier, I believe Kellen Moore when he says it. A.J. Brown going to get fed.
Sure.
That's
in
not
a
that pretty
spicy.
good matchup.
I'm picking up what he's putting down.
Mm-hmm.
The next worst is going to be somebody bad on my
Right.
team because the last 2 people have been bad. So go ahead.
I don't know. I don't think he's on your team. People got a little into Quentin Johnston last week.
No, he's
Yeah,
not on the
man.
team.
It's done. He's outside the top 50 this time.
Quentin Johnson can do exactly that, where he has himself a little bit and it never materializes.
Correct. Yeah, I am famously never going to be a believer in Quentin Johnston.
Stone hands.
Returning to his former glory for however brief a time,
Coppets.
top 3 tight end, Travis Kelce.
Oh,
Ugh.
I would like that, to be honest with you. I need to see some more of that old Mahomes and
I
Kelsey
don't
magic.
need to see any of that, but go ahead.
Yeah, I think he's got it in him. However, finishing outside the top 20 in tight ends, if his quarterback's not going to do well, he's not going to either, especially with Arthur Smith. It's Pat Fryermuth. He's going to be a big old fat bust.
Okay.
There you go.
There you
So-
go. Boom bust.
I'll remind you of the ones I got right, and I will say nothing of the ones I got wrong
Yeah,
next week.
we
We
pretend
totally-
that you hadn't said it at all.
We believe that
Yeah.
wholeheartedly. Moving on to our next list would be
Yes.
the best top 5, the best non-Christmas Christmas movies.
So excited about this.
I already know what's number 1, but
I feel like there's just no shot that we're going to have 5 completely different movies here. I feel like there's
You
going to
Might
be
be surprised.
plenty of.
I will be surprised if
I-
anyone has anything on my list.
I think 3 of mine are you won't get maybe 2.
Well, why don't you start us off? Let's see what
Okay.
you hear.
We're
and
gonna
I'll
go
see
for
what I got.
5 and then move our way up like we did with the Thanksgiving dishes.
Okay, we can do that. Number 5 on my list would be Zero Dark 30.
Is that a Christmas movie?
That is a Christmas movie.
I loved it. It's been a long time, but I like that
I
movie.
love that movie.
I have not seen it.
It's about going after
Yeah.
Bin Laden.
Yeah,
Great
I
movie.
remember.
Go ahead.
Number 5 for me, Puka from Hulu's Into the Dark series. You might have expected me to have nothing but horror. There are only 2 horrors on my list. This is one of them. This is one of the many things COVID took from us was Hulu used to put out a holiday-themed horror movie for every month of the year. And this was their first Christmas movie they did. And it was a very good, very weird little movie about like a Furby type holiday craze toy.
I think I've seen that.
I
I mean, I
like
didn't
it a
see
lot.
it.
Oh
I
yeah,
s-
I remember hearing about that.
Yeah,
Puka.
hearing about it.
I love Puka.
All right, Evan.
All right, mine's gonna
He's
just
shooting
stick
from the
to-
hip too, guys.
Stick to a comedy movie that I actually have only seen twice, but I really enjoyed it when I did see them. The Night Before, with Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Seth Rogen, about some buddies who
I've seen that.
they're having one night out before one of them gets married or something. It's right around Christmas time. They go out and do a bunch of drugs. It's funny.
All right. Number 4 on my list, Rocky. That is a Christmas movie.
Yeah, I vaguely remember there being some Christmas stuff. I was never a big Rocky guy.
He bought the
oddly enough.
robot. You don't remember him buying the
Wasn't
robot?
that Rocky 4?
Yeah, I was thinking it wasn't. I thought it was like Rocky 2.
When Paulie gets the robot. I think that was
It's 2.
4. Is
That's
it 2?
I think it's 2.
I think it's Rocky 2.
All right.
I'm sorry. I just threw.
I'm not the Rocky expert though.
No.
Whichever Rocky has Christmas in it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
This is genre.
Yeah.
Sure.
Anyway, go ahead.
Number 4 for me, I forgot that this was a Christmas movie until I was thinking about this today. In Bruges, starring Colin Farrell and the guy who played Mad Eye Moody in Harry Potter. I can't remember his name now. It's a kind of offbeat black comedy crime movie
I hadn't seen that one.
that takes place in the country or city Bruges, and it takes place at
Oddly
Christmas time. And
Oddly enough.
it's a very good movie.
Okay, Evan.
The best Batman Returns.
It's not the best.
No, I'm sorry. I don't mean to say that it's the best Batman movie. I mean that Michael Keaton is the best Batman. And this
No,
movie
He's up there. He's
is
up
in
there.
Second-
I
he's
like
second.
Pattinson. I like Robert Pattinson. But
Yeah.
I'll give you Keaton.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I like that one. All right, number 3 on my list would be the great movie Gremlins.
Yep, that's on my list
Not
too.
surprising. It's not on my list though.
Well, you're not old enough to have that one.
No, I watched Gremlins a ton on VHS.
Did you watch it in the movies?
No, I watched it on VHS.
Exactly.
I wore that VHS
Yeah.
out. I know not to get them wet or feed them after midnight. Any of that stuff.
It's always after
number 3
midnight,
for me.
though. Anyway.
Another kind of quirky crime movie, black comedy type, The Ice Harvest, starring John Cusack and
Never heard of
and
it.
Billy Bob Thornton and Crazy Cousin Eddie from Christmas Vacation. They are in this wintry town.
Does Billy Bob
on
have long
Christmas
hair?
Eve. No, I don't think he
Okay.
does. No. I want to say this is like 2004, 2006, something like that.
Seems familiar.
But it's just a quirky little movie. That's a pretty good crime movie. I'll leave it at that. You should check it out.
Evan?
Well, I was gonna say Gremlins there too, but I'll just move right along to another comedy that is absolutely fantastic. Love this movie. Bad Santa, easy enough. Billy Bob
Good.
Thornton
So good.
just rules
Hilarious.
in this movie. He does that role to perfection. The little kid's very funny. You can stay away from the second one.
Also, have you seen Landman?
No, I've heard it's really good.
So good.
Yeah.
So good. Once again, Tyler Sheridan. Whatever you say his name. Great.
I'm just not old enough.
Dude, I'm telling you.
I just turned.
Every show he's made, Mayor of Kingstown, man, so good.
I just turned 30, which means in 10 years, I will finally be old enough to have a Paramount Plus subscription.
Anyway,
Rude. I've got one of those.
it's good. Anyway, number 2 on my list, near and dear to my heart because of my kids, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
I was waiting for someone to throw some Harry Potter in there.
Fair.
And it has, every single Harry Potter has a Christmas scene.
I know. But the first one is the best one.
Sure. For me, number 2, Terrifier 3, which was in theaters earlier this year. It is a Christmas movie. It's Art the Clown dresses as Santa Claus. Art the Clown meeting Santa Claus for the first time is the funniest part of the movie. It's a good movie. It's not as good as Terrifier 2, but it's still pretty good, and it's definitely a Christmas movie.
Evan?
Number 2 for me, I'm going to count this as a non-traditional Christmas movie in that I don't recall
you dare
any
say
part of
Home
it.
Alone.
No. In that I do count it as being at Christmas, just because it's kind of snowy all the time. Fargo. I'm going to throw Fargo in there. It's snowing. I don't recall there being anything about Christmas in
think
that
it's just
movie.
winter.
But it's winter.
It's around Christmas-ish.
Yeah.
All right,
it's
and
cold.
my
I
number
had to fill in
one,
because I couldn't say Gremlins.
my number one is just, I'm sure everybody has it on, not y'all, but most people have it on the list, Die Hard. Classic
Sure.
movie, has to be, look, it is, and literally, Harry Potter, Gremlins, Die Hard, National Lampoon's Vacation, all those movies are getting watched
Yeah.
this month. So
Number
far.
1 for me, this is the whole reason I wanted to do this
Tinker
segment.
Tailor.
Yes, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy is a Christmas movie in the sense that this over 2-hour movie has 3 flashback scenes totaling about 7 minutes at a
piece?
Christmas party. No, altogether they total 7 or 8
if,
minutes.
If Fargo counts, then sure.
but it is critical. These flashbacks to a Christmas party are critical to the plot. It is such a good movie. I watch it every December and am blown away every year by how good this is. The cast is incredible. Gary Oldman, Colin Firth, Tom Hardy, Benedict Cumberbatch, and so many more. Mark Strong. I could go on and on. John Hurt. I will stop going on and just say it's a fantastic, slow burner spy movie that you've got to watch multiple times to really pick up on everything, and you should.
Evan, last one.
Once again, I'm shying away from what it means to be a non-traditional Christmas movie. This is technically a traditional Christmas movie for me because we watch it every
Alone?
Christmas.
It's definitely Home
Every
Alone.
single Christmas. All 3 Lord of the Rings movies. They came out around around Christmas. It was our tradition. Christmas Day, me and my brother, we would get together. We would go and watch whatever movie is out and big at the time. So all 3 of Lord of the Rings. If you're not going to count that, I'm going to throw another one. It's the exact same situation. Saw it on Christmas. The remake of True Grit with Jeff Bridges.
The Joel Cohen version.
Yeah. So good.
Interesting. All right, guys. Signing off on this week's episode is Uriah. See you later.
Goodbye, and don't forget to watch Tinker Tailor.
Bye. And also, don't set your line up, Joe.
Yeah. Everybody. Yeah. Don't.
I just hope nobody gets hurt.
Oh, I will say this. Oh, one more thing. between me and Garland, who wins?
Oh, I am going to say Garland.
Evan, me and Garland.
See, here's the
already
trouble. The
taking
last
it
time
back.
I made my picks for our league, I was wrong about every single one of them. So,
So
I'm
Garland.
dooming one of you two.
So Garland.
I'm gonna abstain from answering that question.
Evans.
Evan.
Yay.
I say Evan also.
I feel real nervous about it. To be honest with you,
I
Joe's
do
team
too.
looks a little bit better than mine right now because I have some injuries and I'm nervous about it.
All right, signing off. We'll see you guys later.
All right,
Goodbye.
goodbye.